Hello and welcome to one more of my videos. My name is Sofia Churlaki, for those of you that this is the first video you are watching on my channel. I am an academic. My expertise is on Islamic studies. I'm Muslim myself, and I tend to create videos about Islam, about misunderstandings, distortions, etc. And these are the videos I prepare in the English language. For those of you that you are familiar with my channel, you can see that this is a new setting, a more relaxed setting that what I usually do. And that's not the only new thing. This video will start a playlist, as it's termed on YouTube, where I will create videos showcasing how the contemporary practices of Muslims deviate from the principles and values and ethics often of what Islam was supposed to be, how Islam was supposed to be practiced. My point of making these videos is to clarify with examples this very general and abstract notion that, Islam gave rights to women, for example. This is an example, okay? So Muslim women should be happy. Well, yeah, Islam did give rights to women. Do Muslim men today allow women to enjoy these rights? This is the question. So I will start showcasing, I will be showing you how primarily the authoritative figures in popular Islam, as I will call it. And what do I mean by popular Islam? Islam is very complicated. Those people that I have said that many times on my videos. Those people who say to you or anyone else that Islam is simple, they lie to you. Either they lie knowingly, and they say so in aim to abuse you or silence you or to humiliate you, or they are ignorant. People who consider Islam to be a simple religion today, in the 21st century, they are either liars or ignorant people. Islam is exceptionally complicated. Islam was simple in the time of the Prophet, peace be upon him. Yeah, it was very simple. You just had the Quran and the Prophet, nothing else. But today, after 1,400 years, it's not simple. So there are those of us that we are the academics, the learned, and we know the details, the specifics, and we know the complexity of Islam. And there is also the popular Islam, Islam that people learn through their moms and dads. And, what I care about is what happens in popular Islam. I know the rules and regulations and have nothing to do with what happens out there. So that was the introduction. Let's go now to today's example, and I will give you the story of the background story of today's example. So during Ramadan, I was scrolling on Instagram, and I saw a clip from a popular preacher. He is not a scholar; he's a preacher, and there's a difference between the two. Who in Asia, South Asia, who had this event, and a Muslim woman in niqab, she asked him a question pertaining to her husband intending to have a second wife, so to exercise polygyny. And according to the woman's statement, the couple had a verbal agreement before the marriage that the man will not do that. Anyway, the response of the preacher was absolutely disgusting. But what happened is, as I was scrolling, I get very emotionally triggered when I see such disrespect towards women. So I just skipped it, moved on. But then the following days during Ramadan, that experience was bothering me a lot. And I was like, I need to find it again. I need to watch it again. I need to see the specifics. And I need to talk about that publicly. I couldn't find it. I searched and I couldn't find it. I was searching for a week. And then the last day of Ramadan, after I gave up hope that, okay, I can't talk about it if I don't have the evidence because I have to mention a public speaker. And this is very dangerous today. My words can be twisted and I can be accused, and I don't want that. So I was like, subhanallah, God doesn't want me to. And then the last day of Ramadan, I came across an omitted version of this clip. But I found the clip. I found his response. Well, what I care is his response. The only part that is missing from this clip is the first part where the woman asks the question. And I remember the question. The woman was like, respectful and whatever titles they say in South Asia, and says, I had an agreement with my husband that he will not get a second wife, but now a few years down the road, I think it was 5-6 years, he told me that he wants to get a second wife. What can I do? So I have the clip now. I saved it on Instagram and I will put it as a first comment. I will pin it as a comment. So please go and watch it. Please go and watch it, because the way I will describe it, I cannot convey the attitude. So you have to go and watch it. And I decided that, God eventually wants me to speak publicly about that. Without further ado, the guy starts, the preacher. Now, this preacher, his name is Zakir Naik. The South Asian Muslims know him. The Indian Muslims know him very well. He's Indian. One thing, I will not say much. I want you to go and Google him and see what's the case with this person. Because there is a case. This person fled India recently and went to Malaysia. And there is a reason for that. Go and check. What I will say is that this person is not a scholar of Islam. He's not an academic. He has zero studies on Islam. This person is a trained physician. He is, he has been trained to change bandages and do injections. However, he has become a very popular preacher. Right now, his YouTube channel has more than 4 or 5 million. Let me check the numbers. More than 4 million of followers. And he has approximately 50,000 views on a daily basis. Now, all these people that they follow this preacher, do they understand that he doesn't have studies? He doesn't have knowledge. He's not, I don't know. Anyway, that comes to yes, it's not Islam, it's Muslims, but on the lay believers. But first, I will talk about his behavior. So, the video starts, and his statement is, if women don't put the clothes there, who is to be blamed? So the first reaction, the first response in the woman's question is, it's your fault. You are to be blamed. Now, mind you, factually, what he says is right. My point is not of what he said when it comes to conveying knowledge. My point is how he said it, his attitude, his behavior. So the first thing he says is, if women don't put the clothes, who is to be blamed? Do you want me to answer who is to be blamed when it comes to South Asian communities? I believe the event was in Pakistan, from the accent of the woman. If it was in India, Indians have a heavier accent. But I'm not sure about that. If someone knows, please let me know. If someone from South Asia was there, please let me know. So the first thing he does is victim blaming. You have a woman that she told you that she had a verbal agreement, and now the man goes back to his verbal agreement. And you blame her. So this question, he didn't ask the question in general. This was his response to her question. So she asks, and his response is, if women don't put the clothes there, who is to be blamed? So indirectly, he blames her. Of course, the woman is startled, is like, and mind you, again, the guy, That's his job. That's his career. That's what he's doing for decades now. He speaks in public, and he is a man in Indian and Indian peninsula. Let's put it like that. She's a woman. She's a niqabi woman. She stands in front of the crowd. And one thing I noticed in his events, I don't know why this is happening. Men are sitting on the front. So how is the crowd? Men are sitting and women are standing on the back of the crowd. I don't know if this was just accidental or if, I don't know. Someone tell me why they do that. Anyway, so she is standing among thousands of people, and she's being recorded for thousands and millions more to see her. And he blames her. Of course, she gets startled. She starts trying to respond, and she says, actually, and he stops her, he interrupts her. He doesn't let her. He asks her a question, and he doesn't let her respond. He stops her, and he's like, your questions, he means the answers, are very long, and you are very emotional. She was not emotional. She didn't utter more than 2 words. And she didn't speak too much. And also his tone is very patronizing, very assertive, very, is this how he's supposed to be addressing women? And what do you mean by, your questions, which means answers, are so long? You have something better to do? This was his event. He was being paid, very nicely paid, to be there. This is your job, if you wish. Why do you stress the woman? Why do you push her? Why do you make it look that her question is an inconvenience? When we have the prophetic paradigm, where the prophet, peace be upon him, never treated a woman like that. The prophet was patient with everyone, men and women. And the prophet was approachable. And he was a prophet. He was a spiritual leader and he was a political leader. Does this person, Nike, believe that his time is more precious than the prophet's time? Do you see the contradiction? Do you see what Islam was supposed to be? How the prophet was treating the women that were going to him and were asking questions. And we do have an example of, what was her name? Yes, of Hawla bint Thalaba. Hawla bint Thalaba, she approached the prophet for a very similar reason. Her complaint was that her husband was divorcing her after many years of marriage by telling her that she is now for him as the back of his mother. But you see, the two situations are very similar. And not only the prophet did not ridicule, did not rush, did not interrupt the woman, but listened to her. And when the prophet offered his advice or decision on the matter, we know that then God himself or itself corrected the prophet, scolded the prophet. And then we had the revelation of 58:01, 58th surah, the first ayah, where God is, I see everything and I know what you discussed, I hear everything, and you were wrong, addressing the prophet in this decision. So the prophet was accessible and gentle and kind. God himself revealed a part of the Quran for the woman that was divorced unjustifiably, in her opinion. And God made it unjustifiable. So God decided on the benefit of the woman. This is how Islam was supposed to be. And this guy, Nike, is how Islam has become today, how popular Islam is being practiced today. So after Nike ridicules the woman, tells her that she's too emotional, she was not emotional, but this is a very common misogynistic argument, that women are emotional, whereas we know that men are the ones who punch doors and punch walls and break whatever they find and beat other people, beat their children, beat their wives, often to death. But yeah, it's women who are the emotional. Anyway, by that point, the woman has been already humiliated. Most probably she's contemplating, why did I take the microphone to ask the question? But, and she was very brave, I give that to her. She stood and she said, her response was, it was already cut. We're talking about the clause. When the nikah nama came to me, because this is a common tradition, or our common tradition. Nikah nama is the contract, is the marital contract. So, in his question, if women don't put the clause there, who is to be blamed? She responds, is the society, is the tradition to be blamed? Because when I received the nikah contract, this clause had been removed already. There was no clause there for me to sign. And I want you to understand what do we mean by that. So in Egypt, for example, if you get married, in the contract, there is automatically there the clause. There are two clauses. Not only in Egypt, I think in most Muslim majority countries, there is this clause there. One, the woman stipulates the amount of the mahar, and the second, I know for Egypt because I was married in the past in Egypt. And back then, mind you, I was not a Muslim woman, okay? But I had the right to choose whether my husband will get another wife or not. As a non-Muslim woman in Egypt, I had more rights than what Muslim women in Asia have. I will talk about the Indian peninsula again. I don't know what happens in Malaysia, Indonesia, because we have many Muslims there as well. But this incident, she was either Indian or Pakistani. So she answered. And she answered comprehensively. And she told him that, look, the tradition here is as such that I couldn't. What does he do? He ignores the answer. Like if she never spoke. And he, in his tone, the tone of the voice, and that's why I want you to go and watch the video. He scolded her. He was like, sister. And then he continues, repeating the question, if the women don't put there the clause, who is to be blamed? And he becomes very aggressive and he's like, yes or no. He wants a yes or no answer. He wants a black or white answer. But life is not black or white. By demanding a yes or no, first of all, you don't allow her to express her thought. And secondly, you abuse her because you cannot have a yes or no answer. It's like if you have a bird. I mean, let me make it simple for you. So imagine that you have a bird, okay? Birds God has given them the capacity to fly. He has given them wings. And then you have a bird that he had his wings cut. You know, a human caught it and cut his wings and then goes and complained. The bird, assumingly. And he's like, okay, God gave you the wings to fly. If you don't use your wings, who is to be blamed? Well, definitely not the bird, because someone cut the wings. The same happens with many women in Muslim majority communities, especially where tradition overrules religion. And this is another thing. In Islam, we are not supposed to have tradition overruling religion. We know that because God revealed in the Quran that you're not supposed to be doing something just because your fathers were doing it. Okay? So, at this point, he ignores her response, he ignores the context, he ignores the societal pressure, he ignores the lived realities of a woman. Because a woman in Pakistan or in India doesn't have the luxury to say whatever she wants or to claim whatever her rights are when her father, her brothers, her uncles, her future husband will ridicule her. I mean, in this video, that's exactly what he's doing. With his behavior, he's teaching women not to talk, because if you dare talk, if you dare complain, I will ridicule you in public. He teaches also men how to manipulate and abuse women. Because when 4 million, let's say 2 million men are following him, they're learning from his behavior. They don't learn from his content, from what he says, but from his behavior. So if he does it in public and he's considered a superstar and he has millions of followers, why not the average Ahmad, Abu, Muhammad, I don't know, you call it, do it? Of course they will do it. You're teaching them. You are teaching men how to abuse, ridicule, gaslight, ignore the answers of women. So if you do it, dear preacher, you teach men how to do it. So you facilitate this tradition that wants women to be silenced, that wants women to be abused. So he finishes with that. Again, he insists in a yes or no answer. The woman is very uncomfortable, and you can see it. Although she's wearing the niqab, you can see that she's very uncomfortable. She wants to speak, but she holds herself. Now, if men out there, so men usually when they see women in a confrontation, because this was not a conversation anymore, it was a confrontation. When women in a confrontation remain silent, it's not because we have empty head and we don't know what to say. It's because we know that if we say what we want to say, we will most probably be punished one way or another. So she's silent for a while, and then in aim to, escape from this very unpleasant situation, she's like, no, I didn't put the clothes. Again, skipping the part of whether she had the right. Not the right, the religious right, whether her community, her tradition permitted her to do so. So what he does then, he has this triumphal, oh God, smile on his face. And he's like, did you know that you can do that? Did you know? Well, do you know that now? The woman admits that she didn't know before and that she knows now. But what is the point of telling me now something that you should have taught me before I get married? So he has this, like if he did something good, you didn't do something good, sir. You abused, you gaslit, and you humiliated a woman. And if you are proud for that, God have mercy on your soul. Now, is the responsibility of a woman in South Asia to know her rights? Depending on her age, yes. But when we're talking about women from age 40 backwards, no, it's not the responsibility of the woman. It's the responsibility of the community. It's the responsibility of the society. And let me explain to you what do I mean by that. Oh, no, before I say that, what he did, after he said that, now, he continued saying that a woman can put the clause in the contract, but he mentioned the two exceptions, what women cannot put in the marital contract. Do you know what he did not say? He did not say what women can put in the contract. He didn't mention that. He did not say that the terms of the marital contract can be as many as the woman wants. My marital contract is 13 pages. He didn't say that these terms need to be agreed in advance. It's not something that the day of the niqah, the day of the wedding, you just present. No, it's something that you have consultation with your future husband, and you sit again and again, and you study, and you agree, and he puts his own clauses if he wants, because this is a contract. Okay? He didn't say that women should not trust verbal agreements, because God in the Quran has told us to put all our agreements in contracts. That's why we have the nikah contract. Do you know what he did by not saying all of that? He gave the weapons to men to consider women less knowledgeable, less intelligent, and also by emphasizing on what a woman cannot put in the contract. They gave the men and the women, he focused on the limitations of women, not on the rights that women have. Also, what else he didn't do? He didn't tell people about the religious justification for women's right to have clauses in their marital contracts. So you give half knowledge, emphasizing on the limitations of women. You ridicule the woman. You gaslight the woman. You pretend that you ignore her response when she told you that it's not me, it's my community that didn't allow me to do so. And then you're proud for yourself. Here is the difference between Islam and Muslims. As Islam was meant to be, women have and hadn't have every right to approach the highest authority in Islam, if we have a highest authority, and ask questions. And the authority, if was supposed to practice the prophetic paradigm, was supposed to be gentle, kind, patient, compassionate. This guy wasn't all of these things. And also, we have God himself revealing Quran for the sake of women, in support of women, not only in aim to secure the rights of women, but because a woman asked. So when, again, the name, when Hawla asked about her husband who wanted to divorce her, God came and said, no, you are not divorced. Forget what your husband said. I, God, listen to you, and I reveal this for you. And this has happened again and again. Happened in the case of Aisha when she was blamed. It happened in the case of the woman that asked the Prophet why the Quran was addressing only men. I have all these, I have videos for all these incidents, and I will put the videos underneath this video if you want to watch them. So when you have God himself, the divine, the highest, being compassionate, even responding to women when women had already taken the advice of the Prophet. And in the Quran, God has told us that you need to obey God and the Prophet. So the woman obeyed the Prophet. She was not very happy about that. Aisha as well. Aisha was not happy with the Prophet when the slander against her happened. And then came God to correct the Prophet. So if God gives such a value to the women, how dare today's popular preachers treat women like that in public? Imagine how and what they do in private. Another issue, because he spoke about knowledge. I will make a video because it will become too long, the video, and I don't want to prolong it. I will make a video specifically about how women very meticulously and very methodically for the last many centuries, 10 centuries, have been barred from meaningful knowledge. And what has happened is that after stopping women, after forbidding women, literally, we have scholars of Islam that have forbade women to study. Al-Ghazali, I have a video about Al-Ghazali. I will put the video of Al-Ghazali underneath. Please watch it. So after forbidding women from learning meaningfully about Islam and the rights. My cat is here. I play with my cat right now. Then you have generations of men saying, oh, women are intellectually limited. Women are not smart enough. Women are not knowledgeable. We will control women because they don't know. Women don't know not because they don't have the capacity to know. Women don't know because you don't allow them to know. And then you use this element against them to blame them and not the men. So this was for this video. Please watch the abstract that I have in the first comment. Please go watch the videos that I will list on my description about what I have mentioned already. I will also list, I have 3 videos about specifically the marital contract and the religious justification, the clauses women can put, etc. If you're a woman and you haven't been married yet, if you are a woman that you have daughters or nieces or granddaughters, please, for God's sake, watch the videos, learn about your rights so that you will not find yourself in the position of this woman and many other women in everyday history that after they are being abused, after the husbands don't keep their promises, they are to be blamed for not knowing. Knowledge now is for free and it's out there. And I will link the videos about this specific topic. So this was the first example of how Islam was supposed to be, how the Prophet taught us how to treat women that they come with complaints, with requests, etc., and how popular preachers do it today. Very popular preachers. And that is on you, lay believers. But this will be the topic for another video. That's all for today. Thank you for watching, and I will see you in one of my next videos.